Hello, today we're gonna tackle one of the biggest college misconceptions that I have ever heard, that I hear constantly, and the one that could cost you so much money and really just affect where you go to college in general. The fact that people end up taking an average of $28,000 of student loan debt is insane. Like, that's the national average per person, and it's absolutely insane. The misconception is that state schools are cheaper than going to a private university. That's actually extremely untrue. As someone who did go to a private institution, I went to the University of Chicago. I got over $50,000 in institutional aid every single year. The amount of aid kept increasing proportional to how much the tuition increased. And if I had any extenuating circumstances, I know they would have given me even more aid to cover those extenuating circumstances. So over the 4 years, I had 70% of my tuition covered, and I had absolutely no federal aid. I got nothing from FAFSA, no Pell Grants. Pell Grants are essentially the one grant that is offered at the federal level, which is $6,495 a year, and it usually is given to families making under $50,000 a year. I also didn't qualify for any subsidized student loans from the government as well, but given all of that, I still got so much money in the form of aid from U Chicago, so this is something I wanted to talk about. Since I know a lot of people don't apply to a lot of universities, generally private universities, because they think it's going to be more expensive, while it might be, usually you actually get much more aid than you would at a state school anyways. So just keeping your options open is really important because, of course, in-state tuition makes tuition at public universities much cheaper. You could actually get so much more covered through financial aid packages, given the fact that the endowment to student ratio is much higher at private universities. What the endowment to student ratio is essentially how much funding there is per student. And if we look at the list of the highest ratios schools, it's going to be private universities because they just have more money. Like, in terms of donations, endowment, there's just more money per student to fund more activities on campus, to give them internship opportunities that are completely funded. I had an internship opportunity that was completely funded by U Chicago. So instead of the internship paying me, campus just paid me $4,000 for the summer to do research. Looking at a 2019 study, it shows that 89% of freshman students who go to private universities get financial aid. For those students, almost 60% of their tuition was covered, and I can attest to that. At least at U Chicago, I had 70% of everything covered my 4 years, and of course I still had to pay the rest, but 70% is a lot, and I didn't have to take out any student loans because of that. My best friend in college actually had 100% covered. She applied through QuestBridge, had 100% of all of U Chicago covered, and even had a stipend every single month to pay for food. Like, they literally paid for her plane tickets, her food, everything. So private universities have a lot more money to offer you, so anyone who needs aid gets it. At U Chicago, there's actually a policy where if your family is making under $125,000 a year, everything is covered. Everything. That's insane. And you don't have things like that at public universities. So I don't think that private universities are just hands down better than public universities. It really depends on what you're optimizing for and what you're looking for, but that is something to consider. For example, when I got into the UC system, UCLA and Berkeley would have actually been more expensive for me to go to compared to the University of Chicago, which, even though their sticker price for tuition is much higher, they just covered so much of it because of aid. Of course, looking into the differences between public and private universities, class size is something that's really big. So class size is very small for private research universities. You have a much lower student to teacher ratio, and public universities generally have larger class sizes, but also they're usually good at sports. So I mean, there are so many different things to look into. Like, U Chicago, we're like D3 for sports. Like, well, there's nothing good there. I think we're D1 for Quiz Bowl. So, you know, that's another thing. But of course, like, you know, Stanford and Harvard are great at sports. So it really depends depends on what you're optimizing for, and it's different for each university. Of course, if you want to stay close to home, public universities in state, it's really a great option. This is just something I wanted to bring to everyone's attention because I posted it on TikTok a while ago, and so many people ended up saying that they had the same situation happen where private universities were much cheaper than their state school. So this is just something for you to know before you make your college list, because I don't want you to take out any dream universities just because you think it's too expensive, because if it's a private school, you're probably going to get a lot of aid. They have their own personal tax calculators that take into account family size, net worth of your family, how much your parents are making. They have very proprietary and unique calculators to determine how much aid you get. So even if you think you don't qualify for aid, you probably do. That's it for this video. I hope this helped, and I hope I tackled this misconception, and hopefully you can apply to all the universities that you want to apply to and not be impeded by the sticker price for tuition. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys at the next video.